Good evening and welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, June 3rd, 2024. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The 2024 Atlantic hurricane season commenced on Saturday, June 1st, with an above-average season predicted. Forecasters expect 17 to 25 named storms, 8 to 13 of which may become hurricanes, and 4 to 7 that could develop into major hurricanes. Meteorological forecaster Gregory Cato from the SVG Met Services stated that beyond the storms and hurricanes, there are other variables to consider this hurricane season.
In fact, not just that, but we have to tackle the issue of heat. Our wet season is also a warm season, and for the year, based on the climatic average, these months that have gone, our mean temperature is actually above what is average. And going into this season, it isn't going to be any, we don't see any good news or anything indicating it's going to be less. So we are looking at warmer than average day and nighttime temperatures. This is going to persist for the upcoming months. Excessive heat, possibly record-breaking, likely, especially from August to October. But we're already seeing that trend in the high temperatures. And of course, we expect a gradual increase in rainfall. We've already been seeing the onset of these tropical waves, as you asked earlier. So a gradual increase in rainfall, wet days and wet spells. And as a result, the ongoing drought in some areas would gradually subside.
Cato said based on modules, November is usually the wettest month of the season. However, people should not let their guard down.
The busiest may be November because we get most of the rain, but you can have a destructive storm in even June that cause more damages. So it's a matter of the feature when it does come, because they're modulated by different things. A storm it's a matter of where most of the rainfall is. Of course, the topography could change that, the amount of moisture within that system and so forth. So it's just, they're all so different. So it's difficult to say which specific month you're gonna get the most let me put it as damages, because we know when we get the most rainfall based on the data. Right. But then you can never say, okay, the month of this would be safer than this month. And because we've both seen it early and late that we've been affected.
The forecaster also explained the characteristics of the different weather systems expected during the season.
Disturbances, a tropical cyclone, a tropical depression, and so forth. So when we speak about a disturbance, firstly, it must have an identity for like 24 hours or longer. It's a system that has organized, let me say rainfall, not convection, because these persons would more be familiar when you say rainfall and convection. So a system that has organized rainfall, and it must be there for at least 24 hours or longer. Now, when we speak about a cyclone, it's actually a low pressure system. It develops, across the tropical or subtropical waters, has an organized and deep area of rainfall with a closed circulation, right? So your depression, your tropical storm, and your hurricanes are all tropical cyclones. The depression now, the winds in it must not exceed 38 miles per hour, but it's also a tropical cyclone. The storm, it must reach that criteria where the winds are between 39 to 73. But as long as it exceeds that 73 miles per hour, it's no longer a tropical storm. It's actually a hurricane. So they are all tropical cyclones. It's just a matter of the criteria in terms of the wind field and the maximum sustained winds and so forth.
Prepare well for the 2024 hurricane season. That's the advice from Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who noted at a news conference today the hyperactive hurricane season predicted by forecasters. PM Gonsalves, who is also the chair of the National Emergency Council, reminded people to prepare their households for any eventuality.
People have their family situation, they know it, they plan around it. If you have to do some elementary repairs, whatever, do them. Take care of your household. The state assists, but you have to help yourself too, and you have to plan properly. You have to make sure that you have containers to put water. You have a certain amount of food for a couple of days.
The Prime Minister said the government will do its part and urge relevant stakeholders to be at the forefront, providing information on a timely basis.
This business a long time, and every year we have to go through it, and you have to listen carefully to the news listen to the information from the official circles. And I always tell the official circles that on these matters we need to be prompt. Because if we are not prompt, mischief will take place. You have to provide the information on a timely basis to everybody.
The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, has published a list of 147 shelters. According to the Prime Minister, improvements to these shelters are underway.
Approve the shelters, basically the same as last year, and they'll be published in the Gazette, so those are the same shelters. But importantly, I had NEMO provide for each shelter a list of things which we need to sort out. Some small things, many of them very small things. One or two a little more serious, and the Minister of Works was given the directive for Bragsa to expedite, to continue to do the work they have been doing in that regard, but to expedite it, because there's some matters still need to be done.
The Prime Minister said he can only hope and pray that St. Vincent and the Grenadines does not get hit badly by any hurricanes this season.
Storms hit the godly and the ungodly. Every persons of all different classes, political persuasions, religion, doesn't discriminate. But always in natural disasters, the poor get hit the most and the worst. And that's why it's important for us always to be prepared to assist them, and that's where the shelters come in, and support systems and proper information and all the rest of it.
In other local news now, we hear that mainland St. Vincent experienced a power outage for at least 4 hours on Sunday evening. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Electricity Services Limited, VINLEC, in a news release issued today, said the power disruption was caused by a switchgear issue at one of its main plants. At a news conference today, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves addressed the power outage after speculations arose that it resulted from the testing of new lights at the Arnorsville Cricket Stadium in preparation for the ICC T20 World Cup matches.
You know, we had an electricity blackout for ranging from, I believe, an hour to up to 3 hours plus in certain areas. And the next thing I hear people calling me and telling me is while on Facebook, and this morning the same thing on one radio station, that we test the lights. Well, that's not true. You know, they're testing lights today, but the testing of the lights didn't chip out anything.
The Prime Minister said VINLEC should have immediately informed the public about the reason for the outage, which was not done.
I spoke to the CEO of VINLEC. I said, listen to me. Anytime you have any system failure, it's important that immediately you get the information out, because if you get the information out, it doesn't mean that people wouldn't. There are some people who thrive on mischief. You can't stop it. That's the world in which we live. But you have to put the correct information. This is what the release which they sent out today.
The Prime Minister asked that people desist from spreading misinformation about the power outage. VINLEC, in its press release, assured customers that all necessary resources were deployed to address the issue and ensure the reliability of its service. Meanwhile, the testing of the new lights at the Arnorsville Stadium were expected to be carried out today using the new generators ahead of the hosting of the 3 World Cup matches here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines starting on June 13th. A number of Vincentians with Indian roots came together on Sunday, June June 2nd to celebrate Indian Arrival Day in the form of a cultural and educational rally in Calder. For many years, the SVG Indian Heritage Foundation held reenactments of Indian arrival at Indian Bay, where a boat arrived with persons of Indian descent and friends dressed in Indian wear were given their certificates of assignment to various estates in the country. An official ceremony followed with addresses from dignitaries, breakfast sharing and a photo session. This year, the SVG Indian Heritage Foundation joined the Calder Neighborhood Watch Committee in celebrating Indian Arrival Day with a cultural and educational rally on Sunday. Delivering the feature address at the celebration, historian Dr. Adrian Fraser provided some background information on the livelihood of Indians in SVG.
Hope to control labor in the way they did during the period of slavery, and to retain the socio-economic situation of the pre-1838 era. What was really needed in St. Vincent was a reorganization of the estates and a realization that the cheap, unfree labor was something of the past, but they did not see it that way. The former enslaved wanted to be free from the restrictions and control of the estates. Once full emancipation was granted, women were forced to leave the estates because they wanted to focus on the education of their children and to look after their households. The planters tried to block the emancipated men from taking advantage of any opportunities to live successful lives beyond the plantation or the estates.
Dr. Fraser also spoke of the opportunities the former enslaved tried to obtain, including ownership of lands.
Being prepared to continue to work on the estates, but under different terms. Planters refused to sell lands in small acreage that the newly emancipated might have been able to acquire. So any sale of lands, including crown lands, was to be in parcels of not less than 40 acres, which most of them would not have been able to buy. The economic difficulties of planters forced some of them to sell lands on the edges of their estates. By 1845, there were already 2,824 residents in villages built since emancipation. As suggested before, many of those who purchased lands and lived in villages were willing to continue to work on the estates to get money even to complete the purchase of the land which they were already occupying. The main problems arose over wages and conditions of work, and the fact that the planters no longer had the control over labor that they did before.
Here's a snippet of the Indian Arrival Day 2024 National Rally in Calder on Sunday. An estimated 2.5 million people in the Caribbean are of Indian origin. On March 26, 2007, the government of SVG passed an Act of Parliament recognizing June 1st as Indian Arrival Day and October 7th as India Heritage Day. Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of crime, Trevor Bailey, is appealing to parents, guardians and other adults to set positive examples for the young people to follow, noting that the family is a very important institution. ACP Bailey, who was at the time addressing a town hall meeting in Barley, spoke of the need to set standards.
Families are not having family devotions, when they're not having conversation between the parent and the child or the children. Where the parents are going to bed and the 13-year-old and the 14-year-old are still outside, and you're not sure what time they're coming home, and they're passing you straight without saying morning or good afternoon. When you have that type of relationship within the home, within the family, we can't really expect any other thing to be exhibited outside of the home setting. So it is very important that at home we set the trend, you set the example, you set the standard that you expect of persons. You need to have that standard in your house. So parents, you cannot, this is carnival season, you cannot be telling me that your 14-year-old is leaving home almost half naked and saying going to a wet-fed party. No, how could you allow that? Yes, we want the culture to continue. Yes, we want them to experience life. But you do so with proper supervision. Because when they leave home, if you don't have that parental control at home, when they're out on their own, when they're out, especially if they're consuming alcohol, when they can't think soberly, what will happen in your absence when they're by themselves? So we have to ensure, parents, that we bend down, tie our shoelace. In other words, we need to instill serious discipline in our children at home.
Commissioner of Police Enville Williams urged residents to do their part to help the police with crime fighting.
Seeing something and saying something, you're not an informer, but you're saying something to the police to help the police to reduce and solve issues of crime and violence that continue to plague not just Barley, but our societies throughout the length and breadth of our land. So see something and say something means that today it might be you. It might be your neighbor's house who is on fire, and you refuse to give that vital information to the police that will solve that crime. But tomorrow it might well be you, and you want your issue to be dealt with. So therefore, see something and say something. Be your brother's keeper. Let us together be our brothers and our sisters' keeper. Because as a God-fearing society, that Barley is, the Bible is expecting us, God is expecting us to do just that. Become our brother's keeper. Be our sister's keeper.
The Barley Walkabout and Town Hall meeting culminated in National Gun Amnesty, which ended on Friday, May 31st. From henceforth, anyone found in possession of illegal firearms or ammunition are expected to face a stiff penalty under the amended laws. And youths from Vermont and surrounding communities have been encouraged to learn a musical instrument as a way of engaging in positive activities. The call comes from Acting Commissioner of Police Enville Williams at the Vermont Pan Against Crime Gospel Concert. The gospel concert attracted a large gathering as the police seek divine intervention to help address crime in the country.
To remind our young people who are here today that there are many opportunities to learn to play a musical instrument, and the summer is here. Very shortly, the police band will announce the summer program to play an instrument or to learn to read music. Parents, send your children. Parents, send your sons and your daughters, and even those who have no parents to learn an instrument. Because like I've said before, playing a music, playing an instrument will cultivate their minds and build them to stronger, productive men and women in the future.
This is the 16th year for the Pan Against Crime initiative, a brainchild of Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. The Acting Commissioner of Police highlighted how the program has grown from strength to strength, benefiting hundreds of young people across the country.
Fighting crime in the nooks and crannies of this land, and you are in the vanguard of breaking down the stronghold of the father of crime, Satan himself. So I'm happy that we can join together in this collaborative effort. And indeed, it is only the start of things to come. Now, the Pan Against Crime initiative, as you've heard before, started some 16 years ago. And so far, in excess of 15 pan sites have been inaugurated throughout the length and breadth of this land, and over 8,000 persons trained to play pan. Why pan? Now, friends, pan is considered a modern instrument in our day, the instrument of the 21st century.
The government printing office, or Printry, held a church service today at the New Testament Church of God to commence a week of activities for Printry Week, being observed under the theme thriving with resilience in printing through collaboration. The week of activities is being held to sensitize the public on the importance and purpose of the government printery. Speaking at a church service, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves stated that the quality of printing and the quality of the equipment have improved immensely over the years.
They can be sorted out easily, whatever they are. Everybody just has to be reasonable, and we know that we are committed to the printery. The workers at the printery, that's where they earn the living. The workers at the printery are important, not to the government only, but to the people of St. Vincent whom the government represents. And when you fight it down, you're fighting down yourself. And everybody has to be reasonable. Everybody has to forget all this vanity. There are many things in the Bible spoken against vanity. And we just love one another now and try and do things better.
The Prime Minister encouraged students who attended the church service to continue to study their academics while still enjoying life's pleasures. He proceeded to encourage them to refrain from smoking and avoid negative peers, urging them instead to reflect on where they would be later in life.
Enjoy yourself. Wholesome. Don't smoke weed. Don't keep bad company. Don't get involved in any foolishness. And ask yourself what you're going to be like in the year 2050. You might be, 15 years old now, 14 years old, whatever your age. 2050, if you're 14 now, you're going to be 14, 2050. You have to want to know what you will be like there. You got to have a profession, have a skill, do something good, and listen to your mommy and listen to your daddy and listen to your pastor, listen to good friends. And then it's easy, It's easy. I am not making it complicated. And take it from me. It's better to read than to spend all the time on comments book. The thing what they call Facebook. Better you read and do something meaningful. I know the Facebook is important to keep in touch with your friends and all the rest of it.
The Prime Minister highlighted that many people don't understand the significance of the printery, noting that the government printery is an institution that prints and publishes the laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The other activities for Printery Week will include a one-day internship at the printery, exhibitions and prize competitions among staff. The government printery was established in 1844. Kelly's Samuel, a fourth form student of the Thomas Saunders Secondary School, portrayed her love and inspiration for art through her canvas painting of an ice cream beach showcase at an art exhibition hosted last Thursday at the school by Call Out Nation. Samuel spoke with SVGTV News about the inspiration behind her Frisco ice cream canvas painting.
I would say my art style will be usually in how I present it, but of course everybody will have their own basics ice cream mold, ice cream Frisco, but I guess it depends on how we present it. That will make it really unique, and I think I did my part. As ever since I was little and still in primary school, it opened my eyes wait, I can make this a whole career, and I really hope I can just push myself in hopes to maybe make a profit from this, and hopefully maybe I can take what I love to do, expressing myself through art, and make it into a job, hopefully. I will just say that I'm surprised that it came out this way, because this is my first time really painting on a canvas, and I've learned so much through this painting, so I'll just say that I've learned a lot.
Ajia Hope, a second-year student at the SVG Community College and an artist's voice or inspiration for her canvas. Hope mentioned that from a career standpoint, she envisions being an artist. However, she believes the industry is underappreciated.
When I heard the theme, what it means to be seen, I was inspired by the thought that to be seen is to see yourself, and I was hoping that to portray the idea that whatever it is that you see within yourself, other people see it as well. I do have interest in being an artist. It is a very scary career to think about in St. Vincent because it's not widely appreciated, I feel like. So I would love to, but once it is that, it becomes more sustainable. Yes, please. Yes, I'm always painting. It's my favorite pastime. It's really calming for me, so I'm always painting. Yeah.
And what would be your advice to persons who might be thinking about starting to paint and might be a little bit hesitant about it?
Well, it's very fun to get into painting, so I would recommend doing that. Also, you don't have to start off as a perfect painter or even a good painter. You could just start off doing things that are fun to you, and then as you continue to practice, you will get much better at it.
Eroy John, a South Rivers resident and artist, emphasized that he wants his art to have a positive impact on people's lives. His piece, Perceptual Paradox, depicts the contradictory nature of living in comparison to death and fear.
I keep surprising myself every time I finish a painting, and even more when I display the reaction I get from individuals like yourself. Thank you very much for the remarks though. It inspires me more to invest more time into my painting because I actually have dreams of becoming an artist as well. Seeing artists like Mr. Calvert Jones, Peter, tropical realism, inspire people with their art is one of my goals also, to have an impact, let my art have an impact on people's lives and stuff. So when I draw, I try to actually add a meaning, a deeper meaning to it, capture everything that I'm thinking in the moment exactly. Yes. In here, you can take a closer look. And if you look closely, it's kind of deteriorating, it's rusting a bit. So that represents my fears if I do not accomplish my goals, because I have dreams of becoming a pilot also. Yes, so it's deteriorating basically in the event that I don't achieve my goals, basically fears. The plane is perfectly intact over here, so that represents me actually getting towards my goals and everything, actually inspiring.
Vincentian Jackie English Jacobs has been elected as Division C Director in Caribbean Toastmasters. This post had 2 candidates at the election, which recently took place at District 81 Toastmasters Conference in Trinidad. During her election speech, Jackie described her 10-year Toastmasters journey as standing the test of time, noting that she has passed the test in numerous club leader roles and as a club coach. Jackie will commence her duties on July 1st. Her main responsibility is to lead and support Division C through the supervision and support of the area directors. Division C comprises Toastmasters clubs in Barbados, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. District 81 has 11 districts spread over 20 Caribbean territories. Jackie is the immediate past area director for the clubs in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. She attained her Distinguished Toastmaster Award in 2023.